Dear students, in the previous class we had learned that expressing concentration of solutions, that is mass percentage, volume percentage, molality and mole fraction. In this video I would like to teach you how to solve the problems on molarity, mole fraction and molality. So the first one is calculate mole fraction of sulfuric acid in a solution containing 98% sulfuric acid by mass. Calculate the mole fraction of sulfuric acid in a solution containing 98% sulfuric acid by mass. So our aim is to calculate mole fraction of sulfuric acid. You know that mole fraction is denoted by the symbol X. So mole fraction of sulfuric acid, that is equal to H2SO4. In the data given, 98% sulfuric acid by mass. What is the meaning of 98% sulfuric acid by mass? By mass means both solute and solvent are expressed in terms of masses. What is the unit of mass? Grams. What is the unit of mass? Grams. Both solute and solvent are expressed in terms of their masses. So 98% sulfuric acid by mass means mass percentage. What is the unit of mass? Grams. So 98 grams of sulfuric acid, 98 grams of sulfuric acid is dissolved in 2 grams of water. 98% sulfuric acid by mass. So both solute and solvent are expressed in terms of their masses. What is the unit of mass? Grams. So 98 grams of sulfuric acid is dissolved in 2 grams of water. You know that what is the formula of mole fraction? Mole fraction is number of moles of one component by total number of moles of all the components in solution. Number of moles of one component by total number of moles of all the components. Number of moles of one component by total number of moles of all the components present in solution. That is the formula of mole fraction. So here in the problem we have to find out the mole fraction of sulfuric acid. It means that number of moles of sulfuric acid by, we have to find out the mole fraction of sulfuric acid. Therefore in the numerator we have taken that component, number of moles of one component. Which component we have to find out the mole fraction? Sulfuric acid. Therefore in the numerator we had taken number of moles of sulfuric acid by, what is the denominator? Total number of moles of all the components. How many components are present? One component is sulfuric acid, second one is water. One component is sulfuric acid, second component is water. So add number of moles of sulfuric acid and number of moles of water. So this is the mole fraction of sulfuric acid. Number of moles of sulfuric acid by number of moles of sulfuric acid plus number of moles of water. So here two components are there. One is sulfuric acid, second one is the water. Therefore both the components are taken in the denominator. First of all here we have to calculate individually the number of moles of sulfuric acid and number of moles of water. Then substitute into the formula. So number of moles of sulfuric acid. What is the formula of number of moles? Weight by gram molecular weight. So what is the weight of sulfuric acid? Here 98 grams of sulfuric acid. So what is the weight of sulfuric acid? 98 by. What is the gram molecular weight of sulfuric acid? It is also 98. So 98 by 98 means 1. So the number of moles of sulfuric acid is 1. What is the formula of number of moles? Calculation of number of moles? Weight by gram molecular weight. Weight of sulfuric acid in the problem given 98 grams. What is the gram molecular weight? 98. 98 by 98 means 1 mole. And what is the number of water? The number of moles of water? Weight of water by gram molecular weight of water. What are the number of moles of water? Weight by gram molecular weight. Weight of water by gram molecular weight of water. In the problem, what is the weight of water? 2 grams of water. 2 by, you know that what is the gram molecular weight of water? 18 grams. So 1 by 9. H2O. 2 hydrogens, 2 into 1 plus oxygen 16 grams. So total gram molecular weight 18. Each hydrogen 1 gram, oxygen 16 grams. So total 18 grams. So number of moles of sulfuric acid is 1. Number of moles of water is 1 by 9. Then these are substituted into the formula. Number of moles of sulfuric acid is 1 by number of moles of sulfuric acid 1 plus number of moles of water 1 by 9. So 1 by 1 plus 1 by 9. It is equal to 1 by 10 by 9. 1 plus 1 by 9 is 10 by 9, which is equal to 9 by 10. 0.9. So the mole fraction of sulfuric acid is 0.9. So that is the simple problem. Main important thing is percentage. What is the meaning of? You have to understand the meaning of 98% sulfuric acid by mass. Then you can solve the problem only. Coming to second problem, an antifreeze solution is prepared from 222.6 grams of ethylene glycol and 200 gram of water. So in the brackets it is mentioned as solvent. Calculate molality of solution. You know that what is the formula of molality? Molality is denoted by the symbol small m. Molality is denoted with symbol small m. What is the formula of molality? Molality is weight of solute by gram molecular weight of solute into 1000 by weight of solvent in grams. What is the formula of molality? Weight of solute by gram molecular weight of solute into 1000 by weight of solvent in grams. In the problem, ethylene glycol is solute. Here already mentioned water as solvent. Therefore, ethylene glycol is the solute. Then substitute into formula. What is the weight of solute? 222.6 grams. What is the weight of solute? 222.6 grams. What is the gram molecular weight of solute? They are already given the molecular formula of ethylene glycol. What is the molecular formula of ethylene glycol? C2H6O2. Molecular formula of ethylene glycol is C2H6O2. Then find out the gram molecular weight of ethylene glycol because it is the solute. Find out gram molecular weight. So 2 carbons are there, 6 hydrogens are there, 2 oxygens. 2 carbons, 6 hydrogens, 2 oxygens. Each carbon atomic weight 12 grams. So 2 into 12, 24. Each hydrogen atomic weight 1 gram. 6 into 1, 6 grams. Each oxygen atomic weight 16 grams. 2 into 16, 30. Total 62 grams. So what is the gram molecular weight of solute? 62 grams. Then substitute into formula. Into 1000 by. What is the weight of solvent? What is the weight of solvent? 200 grams. Weight of solvent is 200 grams. So 222.6 by 62 into 1000 by 200. If you can simplify this one, you will get the answer 17.95. Write symbol here, small m. Molality is designated as small m. So what is the answer? 17.95 m. Then coming to third problem, calculate molarity of a solution containing 5 gram of NaOH in 450 ml of solution. Calculate molarity. You have to find out molarity. Molarity is denoted by the symbol capital M. Capital M. So what is the formula of molarity? You know that. What is the formula of molarity? Weight of solute by gram molecular weight of solute into 1000 by volume of solution in ml. What is the formula of molarity? Weight of solute by gram molecular weight of solute into 1000 by volume of solution in ml. In the problem given, what is the weight of solute? Here solute is sodium hydroxide. What is the weight of solute? 5 grams. What is the weight of solute? 5 grams. 5 by. What is the gram molecular weight of solute? What is the gram molecular weight of NaOH? 40 grams. What is the gram molecular weight of NaOH? 40 grams. Sodium 23. Hydrogen 1. Oxygen 60. Total 40 grams. Sodium atomic weight 23. Hydrogen 1. Oxygen 16. 40 grams. So 5 by 40 into 1000 by volume of solution. Volume of solution in ml. So 5 gram of NaOH is dissolved in 450 ml of solution. 450 ml of solution. Therefore, volume of solution is 450 ml. Volume of solution is 450 ml. Then we get the answer 0.278 capital. If you can do calculation, you will get the answer 0.278 capital M. So these are very important problems. You must solve the other problems, same models as in-text questions and exercises in textbook. Then coming to second part of solutions, solubility. So what is solubility? Solubility is the maximum amount of substance that can be dissolved in suitable amount of solvent. The maximum amount of substance dissolved in suitable amount of solvent. So what is solubility? Maximum amount of substance that can be dissolved in suitable amount of solvent. For example, you know that sodium chloride is dissolved in water. We get NaCl solution. Sodium chloride, salt is dissolved in water. We get a solution. So it is a maximum amount of substance that can be dissolved in suitable amount of solvent. So the solubility depends upon nature of solute and solvent. So preliminarily or primary, the solubility. Why some substances are dissolved in solvents, why some other substances are not dissolved in water. It is entirely depending upon nature of interactions between solute and solvent. Depends upon solubility, depends upon nature of interactions between solute and solvent. And it is also depends on temperature and pressure. So these four are important factors influencing the solubility. Some substances are highly soluble in solvents, some substances are partially soluble in solvents. That is entirely depending upon nature of interaction between solute and solvent molecules, temperature and pressure. These four are factors influencing the solubility. What are the four factors? Nature of solute, nature of solvent, temperature and pressure. Nature of solute, nature of solvent, temperature and pressure. These four factors influencing the solubility of substances into the suitable solvents. And now we are going to discuss about solubility of two systems. One is solubility of solids in liquids. Second one is solubility of gases in liquids. We are going to discuss about solubility of two systems and the factors influencing their solubilities. Like already told that nature of solute, solvent, temperature and pressure. How these factors can influence the solubility of solids in liquids and solubility of gases in liquids. So coming to first one, solubility of solids in liquids. Solubility of solids in liquids. You know that like dissolves like. Like dissolves like means polar compounds are soluble in polar solvents, whereas non-polar compounds are soluble in non-polar solvents. Polar compounds soluble in polar solvents. Non-polar compounds are soluble in non-polar solvents. So polar compounds are soluble in polar solvents. For example, sodium chloride is a polar compound. Sugar molecules are polar. These compounds are soluble in water. So water is a polar solvent because it splits into ions H plus and OH minus. It splits into ions H plus and OH minus. Therefore, it is a polar solvent. So sodium chloride, sugar, polar compounds, these are soluble in polar solvents. Non-polar compounds, for example, anthracene, benzene, these are non-polar solvents. Hydrocarbons are non-polar. Generally, hydrocarbons are non-polar nature. So these non-polar compounds are soluble in non-polar solvents like NHC, toluene, carbon tetrachloride, and etc. So hydrocarbons, benzene, anthracene are hydrocarbons. These are highly non-polar. These are soluble in non-polar solvents like NHexane, toluene, and CCl4. So like dissolves like. Polar compounds are soluble in polar solvents. Non-polar compounds are soluble in non-polar solvents. This is mainly due to difference in interaction between solute solvent particles, solute solvent solvent, and also solute solvent interactions. Then what is the dissolution? What is the process of dissolution? When solute is added to solvent, what happens? Solute is added to solvent, the concentration of solution increases. When a solute is gradually added to solvent, for example, 2 grams of sodium chloride is added to water 10 ml, and 3 grams of sodium chloride is added to water 10 ml, and 4 grams of sodium chloride is added to water 10 ml. 2 grams of sodium chloride is added to 10 ml of water. The sodium chloride is soluble in water. 3 grams of sodium chloride is added to water. Here we can increase the amount of solute, which means that if you can increase the amount of solute, what happens? The concentration of solution gradually increases. This process is known as dissolution. What is the name of the process? Dissolution. Dissolution is by adding solute to solvent, the concentration of solution increases. This process is known as dissolution. Simply dissolving solute in solvent is nothing but dissolution process. If you continue to add the solute to solvent. Here first 2 grams of NaCl added to water, dissolves. 3 grams of sodium chloride is also added to water, dissolves. If you continue to add the solute to solvent, then after 3 grams, if you can add 4 grams of sodium chloride to water, no dissolution. 2 grams of sodium chloride to water, completely soluble. 3 grams of sodium chloride is added to water, completely soluble. If you can increase the amount of solute, if you can add 4 grams of sodium chloride is water, you will observe in the beaker some precipitation. So some of the sodium chloride is present in undissolved state. You can observe some of the sodium chloride is present in undissolved state. So this condition is known as equilibrium, dynamic, which means that a dynamic equilibrium, whenever you can continue to add solute to solvent at a particular stage is reached, no more solute is dissolved in the solvent. 2 grams completely dissolved in water, 3 grams completely dissolved in water. If you can increase the amount of solute, 4 grams of sodium chloride plus water, so some amount of sodium chloride is present in undissolved state, that is as precipitation and settled at bottom, precipitation and settled at bottom. So you can, at this particular situation, you can define dynamic equilibrium and saturated, what is a saturated solution and what is unsaturated solution. What is saturated solution? What is saturated solution? The solution in which no more solute is dissolved is known as saturated solution. The solution in which no more solute is dissolved at a given temperature is known as saturated solution. The solution in which no more solute is dissolved at a given temperature. Here in these examples, in the 10 ml of water, only 3 grams of sodium chloride is dissolved. 2 grams of sodium chloride added to water, completely dissolved. 3 grams of sodium chloride is added to water, completely dissolved. After 3 grams, if you can add 3.1 gram or 3.2 gram, then there will be precipitation. There will be precipitation, which means that up to this level, saturated solution. So you can add much more solute, no dissolution. It will be precipitated. So the solution in which no more solute is dissolved at a given temperature is known as saturated solution. And at this point, we can a dynamic equilibrium between solution and solute. There exists a dynamic equilibrium between solute particles and solution. At this stage, there exists a dynamic equilibrium between solution and solute. Solute plus solvent solution exists a dynamic equilibrium. So, amount of solute dissolves, the rate of amount of solute dissolves is equal to the rate of amount of solute escapes from the solution. So, dissolution, precipitation. Forward reaction is dissolution, backward is precipitation. So, what is saturated solution? The solution in which no more solute is dissolved at a given temperature. So, after 3 grams of sodium chloride, if you can add it to water, no more solute is dissolved. So, this condition is saturated solution. What is unsaturated solution? The solution in which more solute is dissolved in solvent is known as unsaturated solution. The solution in which much more solute is dissolved in solvent. The solute is not enough for the given volume of the solvent. For example, in 10 ml of water, 3 grams of sodium chloride is completely dissolved. 3 grams of sodium chloride is completely dissolved in 10 ml of water. This level is saturated solution level. After you can add 3.1 or 3.2 grams, then we get precipitation. 3 grams of sodium chloride is exactly dissolved in 10 ml of water. So beyond 3 grams, if you can add the sodium chloride, that amount is slowly get precipitated at the bottom of the beaker. For this 10 ml of sodium chloride, you can add 1 gram of sodium chloride. This is not much amount to dissolve in the 10 ml of water. 1 gram of sodium chloride is completely dissolved, and 1.5 you can add 2 grams and 2.5 like that. So the solution in which more solute is dissolved in the solvent is called unsaturated solution. If you can add 1 gram of sodium chloride to 10 ml of water, then the solution is known as unsaturated solution. If you can add 1 gram of sodium chloride to 10 ml of water, it is called unsaturation. The solute is not enough. So 1 gram of sodium chloride is not enough for 10 ml of water, because 3 grams of sodium chloride is, you get saturated level is 3 grams of sodium chloride. Between 1 grams and 3 grams you can add 2 grams of sodium chloride, that also dissolved in the water. Therefore this is not enough solvent to dissolve in the water. 1 gram is dissolved, 1.5 is also dissolved, 2 is dissolved, up to 3 grams of sodium chloride is dissolved in the water. Therefore this is called unsaturated solution. The solute amount is not sufficient for the given amount of the solvent. So what is the unsaturated solution? The solution in which more solute is dissolved in the solvent is known as unsaturated solution. So this is the first factor, how influencing the solubility of solids in liquids, that is nature of solute and nature of solvent, how influencing the solubility of solids in liquids. Second factor influencing solubility of solids in liquid is, second factor is temperature. How temperature influencing the solubility of solids in liquids. For this you can consider the dynamic equilibrium. Solute plus solvent solution. So here already I had written solute plus solvent solution. So there is dynamic equilibrium between the reactants and the products. This is the forward reaction and it is the backward reaction. There is dynamic equilibrium is there. So how temperature influences the solubility of solids in liquids? You must consider the dynamic equilibrium and follow the Le-Chatelier principle. So there are two types of dissolution process. If the dissolution process is exothermic, if the dissolution process is endothermic, there are two types of dissolution process. If the dissolution process is exothermic and if the dissolution process is endothermic. The dissolution process is exothermic, delta H solution is less than 0. So, according to thermodynamics, exothermic means heat is evolved by the system. It is released or evolved by the system, delta H negative. What is endothermic? Delta H solution greater than 0 or changing enthalpy is positive. Delta H solution greater than 0 or changing enthalpy is positive. So for exothermic dissolution, as temperature increases, solubility of solids in liquids decreases. For exothermic dissolutions, as temperature increases, solubility of solids in liquids decreases. Contrary to endothermic. For endothermic dissolutions, as temperature increases, solubility of solids in liquids also increases. Both are quite opposite. For exothermic dissolution, as temperature increases, solubility of solids in liquid decreases. For endothermic dissolution, as temperature increases, solubility of solids in liquid increases. You must follow the Le-Chatelier principle for understanding how effect of temperature on solubility of solids in liquids. Effect of pressure. No effect of pressure on solubility of solids in liquids. There is no effect of pressure on solubility of solids in liquids because solids and liquids are very less compressible. Solids and liquids are very less compressible, therefore there is no effect of pressure on solubility of solid. Now coming to second system, solubility of gases in liquids. So most of the gases are soluble in water, or most of the gases are soluble in suitable solvents. For example, oxygen is soluble in water, we get dissolved oxygen. Oxygen is not completely soluble in water, partially soluble in water. Even though partially soluble in water, we get dissolved oxygen, which is useful for sustaining aquatic animals. Some gases are highly soluble in water. Like ammonia, carbon dioxide, hydrochloric acid. These gases are highly soluble in water. So some gases are highly soluble in water and some gases are partially soluble in water. For example, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, helium. Partially soluble in water. So this is mainly due to interaction between the solute and solvent. So these gases are chemically react with water. Therefore these gases are highly soluble in water, chemically react with water. Not only that, these are easily liquefiable gases. Easily liquefiable gases. Easily liquefiable gases are highly soluble in water. For this, you must understand in the states of matter concept, van der Waals constant A and critical temperature. Easily liquefiable gases are high critical temperature and high van der Waals constant A values. So easily liquefiable gases are high critical temperature, high van der Waals constant A values. So easily liquefiable gases are highly soluble in water, and those gases which are chemically react with water are also highly soluble in water. So this is the nature of interaction. So nature of solute and solvent. First one, how nature of solute and solvent affect the solubility of gases in liquids. How nature of solute and solvent can influence the solubility of gases in liquids. And second one, effect of pressure on solubility. This is very important. Effect of pressure on solubility of gases in liquids. You know that solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure. Solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure. So if you can increase the pressure, most of the gaseous molecules goes into, so this is the water molecules and these are gaseous particles. So liquid phase, gaseous phase, liquid phase, gaseous phase. Pressure. Here two vessels are there. One is bottom is liquid phase, upper is gaseous phase. So in the first case, pressure, if you cannot apply the pressure 10 atmosphere, and second case, if you can apply the pressure 100 atmosphere. So in the case of pressure 10 atmosphere, some of the gas is dissolved in the liquid. For example, 10 bar of pressure of gas is dissolved in the liquid. If you can apply the more pressure, most of the gaseous molecules can collide the surface. Most of the gaseous molecules can collide the surface and goes into the liquid, and the dissolution is also increases. Most of the gaseous molecules collide the surface of the liquid phase and goes into the solution. So here 100 atmosphere gaseous molecules are dissolved. So if you can increase the pressure, solubility of gases is also increases. So this concept is best understood by Henry's law. Henry's law. Effect of pressure, Henry's law. Solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure. If you can increase the pressure, most of the gaseous molecules are goes into the solution and they can be dissolved completely. So William Henry in 1800, William Henry, the scientist William Henry in 1800 gave a quantitative relationship between solubility and pressure. So the scientist William Henry in 1800 gave a quantitative relationship between solubility of gases in liquids and pressure. According to William Henry, so the first statement of William Henry is the solubility of gases in liquids is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas. So what is the statement of Henry's law? Here I already told that solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure. By increasing pressure, most of the gaseous molecules will goes into the liquid phase, then soluble. So according to Henry's law, what is the first statement of Henry's law? The solubility of gases in liquids increases with increase of partial pressure. The solubility of gases in liquids is directly proportional to partial pressure over the solution. Directly proportional to partial, which means that solubility of gases in liquids increases with increase of partial pressure. Increases with increase of partial pressure. But according to Dalton, how the solubility is measured? For example, if carbon dioxide is dissolved in water at different pressure conditions, what is the measurement of solubility? Carbon dioxide dissolved in water at different pressure conditions, P1, P2, P3. Different pressure, 10 atmosphere, 20 atmosphere, 30 atmosphere pressure. Same volume of water, 100 ml of water taken. At 10 atmosphere, how much carbon dioxide dissolved in water? At 20 atmosphere, how much carbon dioxide dissolved in water? And fix the volume of carbon dioxide and water, then you can vary the pressure. Fix the volume of carbon dioxide and water, then you can vary the pressure. So, according to Dalton, how solubility is measured? So, according to Dalton, solubility as a function of mole fraction. So Dalton is a scientist first proposed how solubility varies with the mole fraction. So according to Dalton, solubility is a function of mole fraction. Solubility is measured in terms of mole fraction. Then only know how much carbon dioxide gas is soluble in the water at a given temperature. At a given temperature. These are at constant temperatures only we can study. At constant temperature only we can study the Henry's law. according to Dalton, solubility as a function of mole fraction. Solubility as a function of mole fraction. And according to Henry, solubility in terms of partial pressure. According to Dalton, solubility as a function of mole fraction. Then we can relate these two. Then we can relate mole fraction and partial pressure. According to Henry, solubility of a gas in liquid is directly proportional to pressure of the liquid over the solution, or partial pressure of the liquid. According to Dalton, solubility is measured in terms of mole fraction. Therefore, we can, at this situation, you can relate partial pressure and mole fraction. For determining solubility, how much amount of gas is dissolved in water, is measured in terms of mole fraction. Therefore, we can relate both mole fraction and partial pressure of gas, and we can change the statement of Henry's law as second statement. Statement 2 of Henry's law is mole fraction of gas is directly proportional to partial pressure of gas in vapor phase. Just you can relate these two, partial pressure and mole fraction. Change the statement. So what is the second statement of Henry's law? Mole fraction of the gas present in solution. Mole fraction of the gas present in solution is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase. At constant temperature, mole fraction of the gas present in solution is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase. So this is the second statement of Henry's law. So then from these two you can write mathematical expression. What is the mathematical? Mole fraction denoted by the symbol X is directly proportional to partial pressure P, or P is directly proportional to mole fraction. So X is directly proportional to P, or P is directly proportional to mole fraction. That implies if you can remove the proportionality, we can introduce a constant that is called Kh. So this is the mathematical expression of Henry's law. We can remove the proportionality and we can introduce a proportionality constant Kh. What is Kh? Proportionality constant. It is called Henry's law constant. You know that P and X. P is partial pressure, X is mole fraction. So what is the mathematical expression of mole fraction, Henry's law? P is equal to Kh into X. Partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction. P is directly proportional to mole fraction. P is equal to Kh into X, where Kh is proportionality constant, which is known as Henry's law constant, and P is partial pressure, X is mole fraction. What is the unit of Kh? Kh has same unit of pressure, bar or atmosphere. What is the unit of Kh? Same unit, because mole fraction has no units. Mole fraction has no units. Then the unit of Kh is equal to pressure. Mole fraction has no units. Unit of Kh is equal to pressure. So what is the unit of pressure? Either bar or atmosphere. So units of Kh is bar or atmosphere. So the two important statements of Henry's law is solubility of gases increases with increase of pressure, and the statement is at constant temperature the solubility of gases in liquids is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas over the solution. Then solubility is measured in terms of mole fractions. Therefore we can relate mole fraction and partial pressure. So the statement is modified as mole fraction of the gas in solution is directly proportional to partial pressure of the gas in vapor phase, and we can derive the mathematical expression partial pressure is directly proportional to mole fraction, partial pressure is equal to kH into x. Here kH is the proportionality constant, which is known as Henry's law constant. P is partial pressure, x is mole fraction. Unit of kH is same because mole fraction has no units. Mole fraction has no units. Therefore, the unit of kH is pressure unit. So, what is the unit of pressure? Bar or atmosphere. And if you can draw a plot, partial pressure is equal to kH into x. If you can draw a plot, it is in the form of y is equal to mx. Along y-axis, what is the coordinate? Partial pressure. Along x-axis, what is the coordinate? Mole fraction. So y is equal to mx plot means straight line passing through origin. Straight line passing through origin. So what is the slope? Slope is kh. Slope is kh. We can draw a plot, partial pressure versus mole fraction. Straight line passing through origin, and the slope is equal to kh.